Hi, my name is Matthew Chilelli. I'm 25 years old and I'm gay. One thing I want to say before I get started is that I know that a lot of people's first inclination when doing these kinds of videos is to offer advice to people who are still in the closet. And to anyone who might be watching this who is still in the closet, I just want to tell you I'm really not going to give you much advice. I know that my experience coming out is going to be different than yours when it happens. It's different than other people's stories for sure. And really all that I want to do is just give you 3 of my personal stories coming out to people, and you can take from that what you will. And I'm actually going to focus entirely on my family because these are the most personal stories that I can tell, because these are the relationships that mean the most to me. The first person that I came out to was my brother, and this happened my freshman year in college in 2003. And I actually started this whole process out really well because he took it really well. I think he understood right off the bat that I really wasn't telling him anything groundbreaking. I wasn't changing who I was just sharing a little bit more about myself with him. And he understood that, that there wasn't a big change. And I think that's a pretty positive thing that we can say about most people in our generation, you know, my age and below. Most kids our age don't really have a problem with this, the way that, you know, someone who's 40 or 50 or 60 might. So, you know, if there's any hope to be taken from all of this, it's that, you know, in 20 or so years, when the generation above us is dead, you know, we'll get a lot done. Moving on, my mother and father, my biological parents, are divorced. And my brother and I spent most of our lives with our mother growing up in Maine. I said I wasn't going to give you much advice. This I will say, though, I definitely, I think I did it wrong with her. I had made a montagey metaphor video in a filmmaking class that I took in college, and after my freshman year, I came home. This was in 2004, and I showed this video to my mom. Now, this video was about me coming out, but it was a very sort of convoluted film, and no one in my class, no kids in my class, no students in my class got what it was about. So I figured it was safe to show to her. If a bunch of filmmaking kids didn't get the message, certainly there'd be no way that she would get it, you know, and she would watch it and just go, "Oh, good job, Matthew. I don't really understand it, but, you know, it looks pretty." I think the moral of the story here is don't underestimate your parents, ever, because they know much more about you than you might even know about yourself. And that is something that I learned pretty quickly, because she watched it, then she wanted to watch it again, and then she wanted to go for a walk. And we went on this walk, and she basically broke apart the meaning of the video and outed me to herself, if that makes sense. I really sort of forced her to come to me on this. I sort of laid out a bunch of information and made her unpack it, which, like I said, I think is the wrong way to do it. It's a very circuitous way of coming out, and it's kind of coy. She really was not okay with it. Originally, it was kind of a rough summer that year, but actually, interestingly enough, my stepfather sort of helped her realize, just as my brother did, that I wasn't changing much about myself. I wasn't changing anything about myself. I was actually just telling her something more. And these things had always been true and would continue to be true, and now she knew. So, you know, there wasn't any sort of big revision that needed to happen. It was just a small footnote in her definition of who I am. I didn't come out to another immediate family member for quite some time. The next time that I did it was actually in 2009, and the reason there was such a long gap in between this is that I came out to my father, and I didn't really spend a lot of time growing up with my father once my parents divorced. So for quite a while there, I didn't really see it as a necessity to come out to him. I didn't feel like it affected our relationship very much. So, so I waited, and I graduated from college, and I waited some more, and then finally visiting him for Christmas. I did it a very stereotypical way. We sat down, and I was forward about it, and I tried to be as calm as possible. But I think it was the first time where I had a real face-to-face discussion, and I was upfront and honest about it, and I didn't force anyone else to sort of put the pieces of the puzzle together themselves. And in that sense, I'm very proud of doing that, as little as that might sound. But unfortunately, he did not take it as well as my mom or my brother did, and it wasn't at all like the stereotypical screaming match that you see on TV or in film when the kid comes out and the father or the parent gets angry and like tosses him out of the house. This was actually kind of more disheartening. We had a very calm but not very productive conversation afterwards, where it became very clear to me that he wasn't going to budge on this. He thought it was wrong. He thought that I was doing something that was wrong, morally wrong, and he was concerned for my well-being, which really hurt, to be honest. And try as I might, I just could not make him see that I was okay, and that it wasn't harmful to me, and that I just could not express like I had in the past that it wasn't this tiny little revision. He really, this tiny little speck that existed for everyone else turned into this mountain for him, and it was really, like I said, it was disheartening to see that happen with him. But on the positive side, like I said, he was the last person in my immediate family that I felt needed to know this, that I felt I needed to tell, and that is done now. That is finished, and I no longer have that hanging over my head, and I couldn't say that for the longest time. And as negative as his reaction was, I think it's very positive that this is finished for me. No longer do I have to worry about being outed to them. I don't have to worry about phrasing things differently around them. As much as it might irk them, I can genuinely be myself around them without fear of outing myself prematurely. And I think that's actually a big concern for a lot of people who are still in the closet. And this is one of the reasons why people stay in the closet. This is one of the reasons why I didn't come out to him for so long, is that we fear what might be. And that's why the closet is such a perfect metaphor for this. With the doors in front of you, you can't really see what's outside. You can't see if it's light, you can't see it. If it's dark, you just know the doors. And for the longest time, that's what I knew between me and my father, the doors. Now they're open. I know what's out there. I know what's out there with my mom, with my brother. And what I've found is that certainly there is more light than there is darkness. And at the risk of breaking my own rule and sounding like I'm giving you advice, I will say this. Come out at your own speed, at your own pace, at your own comfort level. Certainly don't rush it. But when you do, inevitably when you do, it will feel better. You will feel good for it. It's a freeing experience to have every aspect of that be on your own terms, or as much of it as it can be, because we really don't have much control over a lot of aspects of our life, and I think to have a little bit of control over that is pretty important. It was certainly important to me. And now that's done, and I can be myself around everyone whom I care about. And that, I think, is the most important part about coming out, is just, it's not about being honest with them. It's about being honest with you, being honest with yourself. And if you can do that, you will feel better. I can say that from experience. And I've had both sides of the coin. I've had very positive, and I've had pretty negative. But all in all, like I said before, on the other side of those doors, there is a lot more light than there is dark. And I think that, if anything, is what you can take away from this incredibly long video. That's really all I wanted to share with you on this October 11th, 2010 coming out day. I hope I've contributed a little bit to all the videos that are out there now, and I hope that you, in whatever way possible, try to stay out of the dark yourself. Thank you for watching.